sneaking in our bed at 3 a.m. Kick me in the head, they're sleeping sideways. This is the way I'm. It's dad rap. I need a quack like Aflac, not insurance. My kids malnourished, my kids won't eat, my kids won't sleep. Sneaking in our bed at 3 a.m. Kick me in the head, they're sleeping sideways. This is the way I'm starting my days. It's dad rap. Never use Snapchat, never use TikTok. This dad hip hop. I rock a skip hop. It's dad rap. I need to wear a hazmat to clean a diaper genie. I hope my wife don't leave me. Why my kids so needy? I wish my life was easy. I'm rapping like I'm wheezy. It's dad rap. It's a 90s flashback. Before we had apps, it was boom bap. That's that. 30 years in the game, it's getting hectic. Underground like septics. Forget the skeptics. It's dad rap. Whoa, what was that all about?
I didn't do it.
I'm a novice at this whole StreamYard thing. So that was it. It's dad rap in downtown Saratoga. It's Saratoga Slim, as you may know. I also go by the name of Dad Rap. I'm a rapper. I'm a horse handicapper. I want to talk to this guy a little bit about the Breeders' Cup tonight. I know you guys are getting ready for the Breeders' Cup, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But our main focus tonight is fantasy football, week 7 NFL. But in the background, over on my television, the Yankees are winning 6-2 in the ALCS. So very exciting situation. I got all my Yankees gear on because my friends were giving me a bunch of junk before saying, how can I do a live stream during the ALCS? But with no more waiting, I want to introduce my guest, the one and only, number one racing dude in my heart, Mr. Aaron Halterman. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. I've got a ton of things on the TV as well. You know, we've got a lot going on in the sports world tonight. The Yankees, obviously, that's very important. Believe it or not, Slim, I went and saw the Yankees a week ago yesterday, actually, when they played in Kansas City. So actually saw them close out that series. So exciting night. I'm glad to be here with you. Glad to be here with a Yankee fan, and I think they're gonna close this game out. It looks like to me.
Yeah, every year for my life, my father always taught me this. And you met my dad. He's a good guy. He's doing well. He's going to the track still. And he always taught me as a New Yorker to root for a Subway Series every year because he had never seen it, with Mets Yankees. And then in 2000, we saw it. And it was so exciting because I have so many Mets friends that are, fans of the Mets. And my brother's a huge Mets fan. And I remember when Bernie caught that ball at the warning track, everyone thought Piazza hit a home run to end that game. And it was so exciting. And we all just basically broke every bit of furniture in our living room. And, beer was spilled over everybody. And that was crazy. It was fun. We all beat each other up. But the Yankees won the World Series. They won that Subway Series. But now the Mets, they had to face elimination today, but they staved it off.
Yeah, listen, they're tough. The Mets are one thing. They're scrappy. They're tough. You knew they wouldn't go down easy, but they got to go win 2 games in LA. I don't think you're going to see the Subway Series this year. I do think your Yankees are going to get in. Not sure about the Mets. Great season for the Mets, regardless of what happens, but that's a juggernaut there in LA. I know. Listen, LA's got a bullpen game 6. Maybe the Mets can sneak in game 7, but I still think the Dodgers are going to do it. But a hell of a season still for the Mets, no matter what. And look, these Yankees, man, they've just been solid all year. And I think Yankees-Dodgers would be a pretty epic if that's the World Series.
Oh, yeah, that would be a very exciting coast-to-coast World Series. 2 of the classic teams, obviously the Brooklyn Dodgers, broke everyone's heart when they moved out to LA. So that would be a reunion of the New York teams, the classic teams. And, Yankees up 6-2. We'll keep you updated as we go along tonight, but we are focusing on the news of the day for NFL Week 7. So we're going to get right into it. And I think one of the big things about Week 7, it kicked off. The Saints were just absolutely embarrassed last night on Thursday Night Football, blown out 33-10 at home versus the Broncos. They started the season 2-0. The Saints scored 91 points in the first 2 games, led the league in scoring, have lost 5 straight, and last night was a skeleton of a team. The only real offensive skill position starter was Kamara, and the guy had 5 carries for 2 yards at one point in the second quarter. So that he didn't do much from a fantasy perspective. On the other side of the ball, Javonte Williams was the star of the night, and I benched him. So my start sits. I've already made the wrong decision. I benched Javonte Williams and started Chase Brown over him. So, but I had him in my sleeper league, which is a best ball league, and he was a true best ball player last night, Javonte. I think he had 26.5 points. It was a pretty nice night.
Yeah. Well, I think, for the Saints on that side of it, things have fallen apart. Obviously, Carr had a really good start. That offense had a really good start. He gets hurt. He cools down the first, and then he gets hurt. And Spencer Rattler was not good at Oklahoma. He was not good at South Carolina. I don't see how he's going to be good in New Orleans. So that's a problem right there for sure. He did have a good first half in his first start against Tampa, and it has not been very good since. So that seems to be a dumpster fire there in New Orleans. There's no question. And look, somehow, some way, Denver has won a few games, right? And they're not very good, but they just seem to win. They did it last year. They were horrible, and they didn't have that bad of a record. They might be looking at the same kind of thing this year.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when the Denver Broncos beat my beloved New York Jets a few weeks back, and the defense was the key in that game. That was a very messy game. It was a rainy, sloppy game, but I thought Denver stunk. I also thought they were going into Tampa Bay, I think back in week 3 or something, and I thought that they were going to have issues there, and Bo Nix showed up. So, I mean, yeah, I guess Denver, they just took advantage of a team that was really hurt up. Obviously, if you haven't been following the Saints, Derek Carr is hurt. Yeah. The Rashid Shaheed is out for the season. Horrible to see that happen for them. Olave has a concussion. Taysom Hill just cannot get healthy this year, and he's a weapon. When he played like one game and had 2 touchdowns in that game, so he has not been able to stay on the field all year, and just a devastating loss for the Saints last night. I mean, you can't get any worse than that on national television. And talking about the Broncos, we want to set off our review of the quarterbacks to start week 7 with the former Denver Broncos quarterback who is getting his first start this weekend, Sunday, against my beloved New York Jets. Russell Wilson, will he be cooking in Pittsburgh? What you think, Aaron?
No, I don't think there's any chance. When's the last time he's cooked? Like when they were in the Super Bowl and they had the interception there at the goal line. I mean, I am shocked. I guess maybe shocked isn't the right word, but I still think, Justin Fields played good enough to keep that job. But yeah, they're going to give Russell a chance. To be Slim, he has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league the last 3 or 4 years. So I think it's a big break for the Jets, to be honest. I just don't see the Steelers putting up with Russell Wilson if he's awful in this game. So we'll kind of monitor it. I would be shocked if he plays good in this game.
Yeah, from a Justin Fields perspective, I have him in a bunch of my leagues. I picked him with the last pick in my draft in a lot of leagues where I just said, oh, this guy's going to be starting. And he's been very helpful in a few spots where I've had some injuries on. And I've started him a few times, and he's been great fantasy-wise, 2 rushing touchdowns. And the team is 4-2. I thought in the back of my head, like, oh, they must be paying him, and they just want to get their money's worth. Yeah. But they actually are paying him the league minimum of $1.2 million. I guess Denver paid off everything and the rest of that ridiculous $160 million contract he had. So they're not even paying them that much. So it's just a surprise that they want to do this. I think from a fantasy perspective, we'll see more passing. I mean, Justin Fields, they had a lot of design plays rushing for him. And also he was leading some stat I heard about scrambling and yards on scrambles. So, Russ is not going to be running. We haven't seen him really run in about 5-6 years effectively. He tries sometimes, but it just looks like a shell of his younger self. And, I just thought the guy should retire. I mean, he's married to Sierra. I'm sure he has plenty of money, and he could just do that, live that life and not have to get tackled on Sundays, but he wants to go out there and prove that he's not washed up, and it's going to be very difficult. From my perspective, from fantasy, though, I have Pat Fryermuth on a bunch of my teams for some reason, and I think they were passing in the teens of attempts every week, Justin Fields. So I feel like Fryermuth probably gets more targets with Ross passing, and also for George Pickens, you're going to see a tick up in targets and receptions.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think they'll try to throw it. I think, on paper, at least you look at it and go, well, he's going to be able to throw the ball better. But I just think once you get him out there, you're going to be like, oh boy, this isn't going well. So, I mean, look, the Steelers are so well coached that it's hard to question anything they ever do. Right. But at the same time, any of us that have watched Russell Wilson, like you said, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's like, boy, this guy, he's done. So it'll be fascinating to see if the Steelers can kind of give him, the last gasp of his career and kind of make it decent at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too hopeful for
No.
Russ this year, and I'd like to see Justin Fields back in there. A quick one though, if you have Justin Fields, I'm actually gonna possibly hold on to him just for the weekend. If you can hold him and you don't need that spot, hey, he's been so effective for you. I think keep him around. So moving along to week 7, quick reminder, we do have 2 buys this week. The Chicago Bears are on bye and the Dallas Cowboys. So get all your Caleb Williams, get all your Rashawn Johnsons, get all your Rico Dowdles, uh, CD Lambs, Jake Ferguson's out of your lineups, and get somebody. And we're going to talk about who you can get. So once again, this is Saratoga Slim, a.k.a. I go by the name of Dad Rap. I'm a dad rapper right now, and I got my friend for about a decade now. I met you in 2015, so we're coming up on a decade, and we're 10-year anniversary coming up at the spa this summer. I'm with my man Aaron Halterman of the Racing Dudes. So moving along to something that I did want to talk to you about when we talk about quarterbacks for week 7. Anthony Richardson starting for the Colts. Flacco back to the bench. What you think about all this, Aaron?
Yeah, I saw the line of this game. I thought, I'm going to take the Colts because Flacco's he's a decent quarterback. We saw what he did in Cleveland last year, and I thought, well, he's played pretty decent. And then I heard Richardson was starting, and I said, I don't want any part of that line now. I wouldn't bet the Colts if with stolen money with Richardson at quarterback. He's awful. I think Flacco gives them a better chance to win. I think from a fantasy perspective, the one positive with if you own Richardson, you do know he can run. You do know he might get a rushing touchdown, and help you in that regard. Certainly more of a fantasy player than he is a real player, right? I don't think this is good for the Colts at all, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Hey, Shadi, what's up? She's very excited that we got, 2 of our favorite people here, Aaron and Slim, on the air. And Anthony Richardson will get hurt again. I mean, that's the fear with him. He has just been hurt so much this year. I mean, in last year, obviously, his rookie year, that we haven't seen him. And what we have seen of him has been inaccurate from a passing perspective. Great rusher. But he keeps on getting hurt, so that has to affect his rushing eventually. I've seen a lot of guys that came into the league, great rushers, and they kept on getting hurt, and then they don't rush like that. Russell Wilson being probably an example of that, a guy that, looked a lot more spry when he was younger, and then they get beat up, and they don't run like they used to.
You're right. Yep.
So, all right. So moving along with the Colts situation, we're going to get into our running back. And this is a running back carousel. Like the running backs this is how it is. At this time in the year, we start getting into running backs that you got to learn the third running back on teams because the first two guys could be out and guys are getting activated off the practice squad. So with this situation with the Colts, they got a bunch of guys hurt. They're both of their wide receivers, Pittman and Josh Downs. I think I have a feeling both will play, but I think they're both listed as questionable right now. And Jonathan Taylor is out. So this is a team just like the Saints that lost all their starters, all their offensive skill position players, and with Jonathan Taylor out, this is a really good opportunity against Miami, against a really bad Miami run defense for for some of these backups like Trey Sermon and Goodson to come in. Are you interested in either one of these guys with Jonathan Taylor out?
I would think Trey Sermon is interesting. He hasn't been too bad. He hasn't been Taylor, but not many are. But he hasn't been too bad when they put him in the game. A tough between the tackles type of runner. A guy that I think will have success in this game. And with Richardson in, you got to think Trey Sermon's going to get a healthy dose of carries. So I am interested a little bit in the Colts running game. And that's the thing. This is a huge game for the Colts because you got to beat the Dolphins when you match up with them right now. They're really a disaster. And that's why I was very excited when I thought, well, Joe Flacco's going to be the quarterback. They'll have a little passing offense. They'll be able to run the ball, be balanced. And then I'm not sure. But anyway, from the running standpoint, I think Sermon makes a lot of sense.
And my man, Curtis Manlow. What's up, Curtis? He was great on the air a few weeks back. I got to have Curtis back on. He had told me he is an Indianapolis Colts season ticket holder, so he will be at that game. So we have live coverage of the game on Sunday from Curtis. So I don't know. I don't think Curtis is on. I was trying to see if he's on Twitter or something, but I don't think he'll be tweeting out during the game and all. But that's my guy out there, Curtis. So thanks for tuning in. A good question here from Shoddy. Before we do leave, I was talking about the quarterbacks. Does Tua come back this week? I don't think I've seen any reports of him coming back this week, but no. I think week 8 he is eligible, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think he'll be back this week. No talk of that. They desperately need him back. But again, what do you get back with him when it is time for him to play again? And how long does that last? And it's unfortunate what's happened with his career. And we can sit here and debate his level, how good he is, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is we really haven't got to see the guy enough. And I think he's a decent NFL quarterback. I don't think he's anything more, but it's just unfortunate. He just cannot stay healthy. And those are dangerous injuries, Slim. I mean, that stuff, if you talk about Russell Wilson wanting, maybe needing to retire, this kind of starting to get scary with Tua, and that's uncomfortable to watch. So I don't know. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about if he should even come back, but that's just me.
We talked about this a few weeks back when he did get injured, and I just can't believe that Miami guaranteed this contract, and they're gonna get like a couple of games and a couple quarters out of him. So it's pretty rough if that's the deal. But I think he's gonna come back, and I think he's gonna help Tyreek Hill and Waddle. I actually have a question about Waddle in my start sit later, so we'll talk more about that team and also about that team, the Miami Dolphins, as we move along with our running back news of the day. De'Von Achane is back. He's ready to go after this concussion. Talking about concussions, Miami Dolphins. Achane's back, and he has, as I was talking about the Colts, a pretty good matchup there. It should be a high-scoring game. Well, actually, not with the Miami offense, but maybe Achane is the one that does the scoring for Miami. Do you got Achane on any of your teams?
I don't. I know Jared does, though. Jared has really liked him, and he's been very frustrated with him, I know, and I get it. It's another situation. It's one of those injuries that it's hit and miss. It's kind of, he may play, he may not. He plays, he gets re-aggravated, whatever. So hopefully he gets in a good amount of action this week. He's a really, really good player in that system. And it's hard not to play him if he's listed as he's going to play, right? Because he really fits everything that McDaniel wants to do. But the problem is, hell, is he going to get hurt again or not? And so, but anyway, I do think he's very good. And I think you got to play him if you own him, as long as they say he's going to play.
Oh, yeah. You always got to play him. Yeah. He has so much upside. Another guy that we think might have upside, we'll see what happens. We're going to talk a little about a game that starts off the next game of the Week 7 action after a Thursday night blowout last night. The first game of the Sunday morning slate will be from London. It'll be the last game the NFL will have in London this year on their quest to have a team in London. Is the biggest, dream of Roger Goodell's for some reason. This is why he does this every year. And eventually we'll have a team there, I guess. I don't know. But this is the last time we have to see a game this early in the morning from London. So Ramondre Stevenson is a game time decision. And Travis Etienne are both game time decisions in this game. So I guess that's good because if you have either one of these guys, hopefully you have their pretty standard handcuffs for Stevenson. Antonio Gibson has been getting the bulk of the workload with Ramondre Stevenson out last week. And for Etienne, Bigsby has actually looked even better than Etienne so far this year. So if you have Travis Bigsby, I have him in a league, and I am starting him probably no matter what I have because my running backs are really bad in that team. And I lost Pacheco in that league, and I just haven't been able to recover from that. So Bigsby, I'm going to be starting, and I don't know. I do have Antonio Gibson on a team, but probably not starting him. But what do you think? Do you think either one of these guys is going to play? What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I own Tank Bigsby as well, and I think he's a play. I think you just play him and go for it because, like you said, he's been pretty effective no matter what. So I'm with you on that. And then, look, I think the deal with Stevenson, the good news is it is at 8:30, so you can pivot if he doesn't play. If he's listed as out, well, you got all day, the rest of the game. So I wouldn't be afraid to play him as if he's active, but because again, he should probably have a big game against the Jaguars. And look, how else are the Patriots going to move the ball? I mean, they pretty much have to use him. So I wouldn't be afraid to start either one of them. ETN, I would kind of do away with no matter what. I just think Bixby's kind of taken that job. And until further notice. Now, what that means long term, because it is the Jags, I don't know. They're not very good, but I wouldn't be afraid to go with Tank. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. So Tank it is. I'm starting Tank, and I think Aaron's also on the Tank train. Are you on the Nick Chubb train, though, coming back? I mean, one of the worst injuries I've ever seen in my life. Basically, I was mentally affected by that injury. It was so bad. Nick Chubb. And so I'm really happy to see him come back after all this time out. He's questionable with the knee. They say he's going to play with Jerome Ford out. He won't get a bulk of the work. I mean, what can they do? Give the guy 10 touches probably just to get him back into game speed after that horrible injury where he tore all three of his ligaments in his knee, ACL, PCL, and LCL all ripped, or MCL. I don't know. Is it LCL? No, it's MCL. Yeah. So I'm putting my Slim PhD knee anatomy lessons to work here tonight. Sorry, guys. But Nick Chubb back. Is Deontay Foreman an actual play in this game? I mean, I can't even say that you want to ever have Deontay Foreman, but I don't think so, right?
Yeah, it's a stay away for me. I have had I don't have Nick Chubb this year, but I've had him. Oh gosh, the last 2-3 years, maybe longer than that. I've had him forever. I feel like didn't have him this year, obviously. And look, we know how good this guy is when he's healthy, but the deal is I read the same thing as you. They've got kind of a plan. It's not going to be a full workload for him. So you kind of got to stay away this week. But I mean, if you can sneak in and add him, or if you were sneaky and drafted him late, I think give him another week or two. I think he'll be ready to rock and roll. Listen, I really think he really wasted his career, to be honest, in Cleveland. I think this guy's elite, and he's been on some bad teams, but I'm glad to see him back, and hopefully.
And this is another bad team. That's another thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Deshaun Watson, talk about bad contracts. Yeah. He may be the worst quarterback in the league right now, and the offensive line is a disaster. They just traded away their best receiver in Amari Cooper to the Bills. We haven't really talked about those two huge wide receiver trades this week, but without Cooper there, Cleveland, I mean, it's really like Njoku's their best receiver at this point, so their tight end's their best receiver, and he just came back from injury. So he might not be 100% quite yet. He missed a few weeks earlier this season, and Chubb obviously won't be at full speed or full workload yet. And I mean, when Chubb does get into a full health, they're going to be stacking the box and try to have Deshaun Watson beat them, and he doesn't have the weapons or the mental aptitude or something anymore. I think he's just lost. he's lost his edge. It was a lot of things that happened to him in his life, and I don't think he's really just come back to be the full quarterback that he was as a Houston Texan.
Yeah, it's bad. That's a terrible situation. You said it. Probably one of the worst contracts of all time. It's blown up. But look, I mean, that's what Cleveland does, right? So that's the thing. As bad as Cleveland's been, I mean, not every year they've been bad. They've had a couple of good seasons where Chubb's been there, but he's still been that consistent guy. So again, even if that team's bad, if he's back and can kind of get close to 100%, he's still probably going to have a nice second half of the season.
Moving along, as we talk about another guy who's had a really good season, James Cook. He is good to go. He's back this week. We saw Ray Davis on Monday Night Football have 153 yards or something, 152 yards from scrimmage against the Jets. Looked like a stud. Did just basically look like James Cook, the same exact plays that James Cook was doing this year. Ray Davis was doing, so basically carbon copy. 26 points or something, or I think he had 20. It was somewhere in the 20 points. So Ray Davis this week, and James Cook back this week. So ready to roll back with Cook, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a really good team. I think that team is starting to really impress, and now they'll probably blow up. Now that I just said that, but he just adds another dimension. Like you said, Ray Davis was good as well. This team looks great offensively, and a healthy Cook's just going to make them that much better.
I was hoping you were going to keep talking. I'm trying to open up a beer over here, but if
Sorry.
you're
There's not a whole lot you can say about. I mean, it's
okay,
like, yeah, start.
This whole situation, right? The Friday football freak out is supposed to be end of the week. You're just chilling, talking about fantasy football with your friends on a live stream with the dudes. So once again, my name is Saratoga Slim, a.k.a. Dad Rap. You can follow me on Instagram at Dad Rap Music. I got songs coming out. I got an announcement about my songs coming out later in the show. I'm going to have a big announcement. You're going to love this one, Aaron. I haven't even told Aaron about this. This is a surprise for Aaron. So, as we move along, we talked about James Cook. We're almost done with the running backs. This is the running back carousel. It is just goes around and around because the running backs, they go down and they come back. And then the third guy becomes the first guy and the second guy goes to IR. It just never ends. So, Brian Robinson is back. He's questionable, but the talk out of Washington is that, oh my God, I put Redskins rubbing the backs. I guess that's wrong, but I can't. This is just how I am with Washington. So anyway, Brian Robinson Jr. is questionable with the knee, but they say he's back. I even like Eckler in this game. I mean, I think they got a really easy matchup. They say Brian Robinson is trending in the right direction this week.
Yeah, it's so funny. You talked about the Redskins. It's like I finally have gotten over calling them the Redskins, but I still can't get over the San Diego Chargers. I still want to call them San Diego, even though they're Los Angeles. But yeah, look, I almost called them the National. The Commanders, they really have they've really been fun, and they've really been a big surprise that they're this good. And even last week, I really thought they played pretty well in Baltimore. So definitely love the Commanders. Definitely, obviously Daniel's got to be the rookie of the year, at least right now, a shoe in for it. So they're an exciting team, Slim. And I think if you got fantasy guys on that team, you just play them and they're kind of automatic plays at this point.
Yeah, I got Jaden Daniels as one of my quarterbacks on one of my teams. He's been very good, and it's really just helped Brian Robinson be the man there. And they're playing against Carolina, who has one of the worst defenses in the league this week. So Brian Robinson is someone you can play in your daily fantasy. I do not have a daily fantasy lineup, but Brian Robinson was a guy I was playing around with his salary in the daily fantasy lineups. He was one guy I was thinking about at running back, and another guy for your daily fantasy lineups with Tajay Spears out again. It's just all Pollard all day. And he has a good matchup. Who is Tennessee playing this week? At the Bills, and the Bills have not been good against the run, surprisingly. Finally, Bruce Hall, broke out with a decent game this week, and he had struggled. So Buffalo has been very bad against the run. Let's go to the comments here. To be fair, Commanders is a dumb name. I just can't remember it. I just tried to call him Washington. I just can't do it the right way. Robinson had a full practice. Yeah, I got him 75 plus yards rushing. Yeah, Brian Robinson is gonna definitely if that's a bet, 75. I don't love these. I hate these prop bets, man. They're just so difficult to hit at a high rate, and
Yeah.
they're ripping people off with these parlays. It's horrible. This is me trying to get the DraftKings FanDuel sponsorship here, but I'm just saying, don't play. It always seems easy. Brian Robinson over 75 yards. If that's the bet, somebody tell me if I'm wrong. If that's not the prop bet, but yeah, he should have a big game against a horrible defense in Carolina. All right, we have a question. The citizen. So I can trade for neighbors. Do it. Oh,
Yeah.
but I got to trade one of these. Ooh, Montgomery, Saquon, and Walker. I gotta just trade Montgomery. I mean, the other two guys
Yeah.
are pretty much the whole show on their team. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously Charbonnet is there for Walker, but Walker's looked amazing. Saquon has looked like possibly the fantasy MVP. He could get a lot of votes for fantasy MVP so far this year. Montgomery's been great too, but you just always think that Gibbs is gonna, have a big game, and Montgomery could, but Montgomery's been awesome. He had 2 touchdowns last week. So what do you think about this one, Aaron?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Montgomery, long term, that's probably the guy you don't want out of those three. Saquon, I would certainly hold on to. I think it's between Montgomery and Walker. I would probably trade Montgomery. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could trade Montgomery straight up for Neighbors, I think you have to do that. Because
It's good.
Neighbors,
Yep.
I've seen him ranked as high as the number 1 wide receiver for this week with his comeback.
Yeah.
And that is actually the most amazing segue in the history of this show. Because my next thing was to move to the wide receiver injury news. And I'm starting off with my main man, Malik Neighbors, is back after his concussion. He ended that game on Monday Night Football with his head in the turf and then missed 2 games after it. It was very upsetting that happened. I have Neighbors in my 2 big money leagues, and I needed him. I need him so bad. I have him in the league with Rashee Rice. So I lost him. I lost Rice and Neighbors. So now I'm getting Neighbors back. Very excited. He has the concussion protocol done. They had put him on some type of injury, groin. They said at some point, he says the groin is not an issue. Malik Neighbors is back. What do you think about this game? This is a real big game against the divisional rivals, Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about that game overall, and what you think Neighbors is going to do?
Honestly, I think the Giants can win this game for sure. I am the Eagles have a lot of issues, but so do the Giants. That's obviously the bad news of it. I mean, the Giants they just can't get out of their own way sometimes. But Daniel Jones hasn't been the worst version of himself. At times he's been okay, especially when Neighbors was healthy. So I think the Giants can win this game this weekend. I do think for fantasy purposes, forget about who's going to win or lose. This is a really good matchup. You said it. I think Neighbors is ranked 1 or 2 as the wide receiver this week because this Eagles team, they're not good defensively at all. So I hate to say I have confidence in the Giants, but I do think they will be able to score a little bit.
Is Daniel Jones the worst quarterback you can win with in the NFL? It's a good question. I understand what Curtis is asking.
Yeah.
I think he can manage a team. I mean, you've seen guys that manage Trent Dilfer type guys manage teams. I don't think he's like that because he's more erratic than Trent Dilfer was when he led those Ravens teams and those teams with great defenses. But I like Daniel Jones. He at least is a guy that threatens you with his legs. He can run and make a big play with his legs, and a lot of other guys, older NFL quarterbacks, just can't do that. He beat Geno, someone says, in Seattle. Yeah, he did beat Geno in Seattle. That was his big win of the year, I guess, going into Seattle. But as Aaron said, the Giants just can't get out of their way. The Jets can't get out of their way. I watch these games every week from these 2 teams, and I just can't take it because they should both be like 4-2 at this point, and they both suck. And moving along to a team that does suck, but has a really good wide receiver. Deontay Johnson has an ankle, hamstring, and rib injury against. So I don't know if this guy's going to play. I always see him ranked so highly now. Andy Dalton, like they went for. I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago when
Yeah.
he first took over, and Yankees are in trouble here. 6-2. A run just came in.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
It's
not good.
they could come back again here. They're making a little rally, 7th inning. So there's time as well, but they're still ahead. That's the good news. But yeah, it's getting tighter. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So where was I? Deontay Johnson. Yeah, I mean, what's your? Have you heard any news about Deontay Johnson? Do you think he's not going to play this week?
I wouldn't play him. I think he's, 50-50. And I mean, look, I guess the deal is if you're in a situation where, hey, he's one of your guys, you got to play him. But I would hold off. I would make sure to have backup plans ready. Another thing that, when you play for Carolina, you might be willing to maybe take your time a little bit more because you kind of know nothing's going to really happen for you anyway. So we'll see. I haven't heard a lot of news other than he's questionable. We'll just kind of have to see what happens, but I would have backup plans ready for him. But I mean, look, I think the deal of it is the Panthers have been better, and they're still not very good, but they have been better since the quarterback switch. So, if he's healthy, I do think you can trust him and play him, but I don't know. I would be leery that he's going to actually play.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson, entire body injured. A good question if we're talking about the Carolina Panthers. I don't know why we're spending so much time on this team, but do you guys think Jonathan Brooks is going to be a really good RB towards the end of the season? This is from The Citizen on YouTube. Thank you guys for dropping comments. We're going to get into the start and sit, so please drop your start sit questions into the chat right now. Jonathan Brooks is the question. He was not activated as a 21-day click ticking timeline of once you get taken off the pup list or whatever they call it, IR. You got this time to be reactivated. He's not activated for this week. Maybe he'll come back next week. I got Chuba Hubbard on one of my teams. I picked him up in an auction for $1. And that's why, because I thought he would be the number one guy there. And he has been, and he's been awesome. I saw him ranked on CBS Fantasy overall as the 12th highest player. And I'm like, I got this guy for $1. I feel like a genius. And the one thing that could get that issue is if Jonathan Brooks comes back. But I mean, they've been good with Chuba Hubbard. Why push this kid? He's the future. They could just dump Chuba in the offseason and, rest this guy up and get him ready for a big sophomore campaign.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Brooks. He's a pretty good player. Liked him in college. It's, by the way, 6-5 now. The Guardians got a couple more runs. But
oh my God.
It's going to get tight again. But yeah, I like Brooks. I do think he could be really good. Again, it is a situation of how good can you be on this team? And I think that's the biggest question mark. But Brooks he's a dynamic back. There's no question about that.
All right, talking about dynamics, Monday Night Football, we have 2 games. We got a doubleheader. We got the Ravens at the Buccaneers starting at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and then 9 p.m. Eastern, one of these late West Coast games, the Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers at the Phoenix Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we got 2 games, and we got 2 major wide receiver ones injured coming into each one of these games. We'll start with the late game, and we'll talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back with a concussion, another wide receiver with a concussion. We talked about Neighbors with the concussion. We talked about Achane with the concussion. So a lot of big-name guys getting concussions. Usually they've been taking 1 week off to get back. Neighbors took 2 weeks off. They're saying Marvin Harrison, he played, that he could come back because it's Monday Night Football. He was practicing without a, red no contact jersey on. They say he fully participated. He has not passed the neurological tests. So what's your take on this? Do you think he's going to play? What's your backup plans?
I think he's going to play. I do think he's going to play. I feel like if he's even got a chance to play, you got to plan on playing him because he's that kind of player for you. So, as far as a backup goes, gosh, I hate that the game's on Monday. I don't have a lot of interest in anybody else for the Cardinals. So that's kind of the problem, right? Because you're either going to have to make a decision on Sunday, in my opinion, unless you've got somebody on some of these other teams that play on Monday.
Oh man, and Yankees get a walk here,
Not
first
good.
and second.
Yep.
Yankees up 6-5 in the bottom of the seventh, and I think we're gonna have a picture change as we move back to Monday Night Football. A little bit dynamic here, and
Yeah.
dynamic again. Mike Evans, we don't know if he's going to be playing on Monday Night Football. He's had some issues. I forget exactly if he's. I got to look up if he's in if he's practicing. I should have this written down. It did. He has a hamstring injury, so that's a little bit tricky with Mike Evans. I don't feel very confident of him playing this week. And I did write down a couple of options for both of these guys. If you want to get a Ravens wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, he sometimes just has a touchdown. Like, he's just a guy that can have a touchdown. He might have 4 catches for 40 yards, so you're gonna have 0. He'll get some type of target, 3 or 4 targets, and what he does with them, he does with them. Sterling Shepard is especially if Mike Evans is out, for some reason, Sterling Shepard has reemerged as the wide receiver 3 in Tampa Bay. He's always been a good wide receiver. I watch a lot of his games, obviously, as a Giant. And in the late game, I don't really love Quentin Johnson or Greg Dortch. I see that Michael Wilson is also injured coming into the game. If he's playing and Marvin Harrison Jr. is not playing, Michael Wilson might get more of that target share. So just some guys to think about as you look at your Monday night options. Any thought about these dudes, Aaron?
Yeah, I was going to jump in on one for sure that I've seen play a lot and know a lot about, and that's Sterling Shepard. And the one thing you can count on, I wouldn't play him if Mike Evans is healthy, but if he's out, Baker Mayfield and Sterling Shepard, they had a great chemistry in college. A guy that Oklahoma had and was just that fantastic connection. And if I watch a lot of Tampa Bay games because of Baker, and they've done good. They've done really well together. He's been an asset for them. Probably not a fantasy guy for you, but a nice little player. But again, if Evans is out, I don't think Sterling Shepard would be a bad backup for you.
That's what I'm talking about. So Sterling Shepard could be one of your start or sits. Let's go to the chat. We got a few start or sit questions, and we got, first off, would you guys start Romeo Doubs or Tank Bigsby? That's my guy. I love Tank Bigsby. We've been talking about Tank Bigsby all night in the full flex PPR or flex full PPR. All right, so you got a flex spot here, Doubs or Bigsby. Oh boy, it's a tough one.
Give me Tank. I'd take him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, New England's not very decent about with any part of the game. So I think Bigsby, especially if ETN doesn't play, with being a game time decision, even if he does play, Bigsby, they've just been riding the hot hand, and usually Bigsby has been that hot hand. Let's talk about a quarterback start or sit. Josh Allen or Jaden Daniels. These are 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks this year in fantasy. So all right. So we got Josh Allen against a very tough Tennessee defense. I've really been impressed with the Tennessee Titans defense. They've been good against the pass. So that is an issue there. And then we're taking a look at Jaden Daniels against Carolina. And Carolina has just actually sucked. So with Jaden Daniels being home, it is really difficult for me to say, I would say trade one of these guys and fill up some of your wide receivers or quarterbacks, because you don't need both of them on your team, because you're going to be looking at this every week and it's going to drive you nuts. So just strengthen up your team somewhere else is my major advice for you. But for this week, I say go with Jaden Daniels.
Well, the Yankees just fell behind.
God,
no. No, he didn't. It went to the wall and hung up. Wow. Okay.
Oh my God, he got it. Oh my
Wow, that looked like a home run
God,
for
I thought
sure.
that was gone.
Oh,
Wow.
me too. I thought he hit it the upper deck even. I
Jeez. All right. Good. Oof, Yankees.
it,
Yankees dodge a bullet there. I'll
yeah,
drink
for
to that.
sure. I thought for sure that was gone. The question is a tough one. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. Well, there is going to be because one will score more than the other. So, but again, I think both will have good games. I'm with you. I think the Titans. The thing about the Titans, though, they're so bad offensively that eventually the defense will crack and you'll get some points. But I think I would start Jaden Daniels. I think that's just not a good team there in Carolina. And like I said, they're at home, and I think I'd start Daniels.
Yeah. Daniels has been so
So good.
dynamic this year. Another dynamic question we got. Which two wide receivers should I start? And this one's from Jeb Armstrong getting at us on YouTube. He has two wide receivers he needs. He has Tyreek Hill, who obviously he picked with his first round pick or paid up in his auction to get. Jamison Williams in a high scoring matchup that we'll talk a little bit more about. In the same game is Jordan Addison. So
Yeah.
we got Williams and Addison in the same game, and then Amari Cooper. We haven't really talked too much about Cooper going to the Bills and what he might do in his first week against Tennessee, which I said I like that secondary of Tennessee. It was some kind of weird thing, like he wasn't going to even play this week, Cooper. So that kind of worries me about this. And, we talked a little bit about the Miami Dolphins issues and how Tyler Huntley really has not done much for Tyreek Hill or Waddle. So for me, I'm going with the two guys in the same game, the wide receiver twos for Detroit and Minnesota, Williams and Addison. What do you think about that? And benching Tyreek Hill? I don't know what I'm thinking.
Tyreek's really tough because he has no quarterback. Plus, they're playing the Colts. I don't think the Colts will give up a ton of big plays. I think they'll play back. Gosh, Addison 100% for me. I would go Tyreek and Addison. I just don't have the
Yeah.
balls to bench Tyreek.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I think I wouldn't, if it was my team, I would not be able to bench Tyreek Hill after I picked him with I don't ever really bench my first round pick because, Tyreek Hill is the most dynamic player on that list. Even, anytime he could take 80 yards just because he, gets a slant and just outruns everybody in the league. So, that's the thing with Tyreek Hill. And then you would just be like, he could get an 80-yard touchdown. I mean, any guy can 80-yard touchdown. The likelihood of him doing that is more than anyone else on that list. Also, which three RBs should I start? Jeez. So he has 4 RBs in a standard league. Okay, that changes it. So Stevenson is a game time decision. I think he did practice in full today. So I feel like he may go. Chubb with a probably reduced workload coming back is tough. Jacobs will get plenty of work, and Najee, I think, also would get a lot of work there. So obviously, if Stevenson's out, I would go with Jacobs. Has had a good year, and you never know when it's going to be more heavy run than pass for the Packers on any given week. And I guess Najee's coming off a good week. I guess I would roll with him. I just don't like Najee Harris overall, but and the Jets, they haven't been very good against the run. Obviously, as you saw, Ray Davis had a huge game against them. So I think Harris, I guess I'd roll the dice with him. With Jacobs, they look like the two that would stand out on that list.
I think, gosh, I would. Well, we covered it. I would be afraid of Chubb. So what I would do is start Jacobs and Najee for sure. And then you've got a situation where if Stevenson is healthy, he's going to play at 8:30 in the morning, and so you can play him and just those are your three and wait a week for Chubb. And then if Stevenson, you plan to play him, and then it comes at 8:30 and he's not playing, then just go ahead and play Chubb, and give him a shot. So that's kind of how I would handle it. Because here's the other thing. I really think if Stevenson's healthy and he's going to play, you need to start him because I do think he'll have a bit, quote unquote big games you can have playing for the Patriots. So I would go Jacobs, Stevenson, and Najee, and then you got the backup plan of Chubb if Stevenson doesn't play.
Oh no! I saw one of my friends on Instagram got at me that stop with the Yankee updates. Oh, you're ruining the game. Oh, somebody is. Oh, not being able to watch, but they have this. I don't know how that's possible, but anyway, Sorry, this is the Yankee game here is starting to get. I might have to get this over with. We're at the 50-minute mark here, and I don't love going over 45 minutes to an hour in this spot. So we're going to try to wrap it up, but we do have a few more start sit questions. I don't want anybody that showed up to the fantasy football Friday freak out. The Dazed Full on YouTube gets at us. Tucker Kraft or Njoku. We talked a little bit about Njoku, how bad the 1-5 Cleveland Browns are just overall they just scare me. The Packers are home. They're both home, both of these guys. So Packers are home to the Texans. The Texans defense has been tough. Their pass rush is really impressive this year. So, and then, you got the Browns at home, the 1-5 Browns home to the Bengals, who are 2-4. And it's just like both of these games are, I don't know. They don't stand out to me. I guess from a scoring perspective, the over and under in this Packer-Texans game is 48. I think the scoring will be up in that game. This Browns-Bengals game is an under and over of 41.5. So I just think from a scoring perspective, action, I'd probably lean with Tucker Kraft, even though Njoku is going to get a bigger target percentage share.
This isn't very scientific, but when it comes to a decision like this, and you can laugh at it if you want, I pick the guy that I'm gonna not injure myself watching, right? So do I want to watch the Browns or do I want to watch Green Bay? And that's an easy decision for me. I'm going to watch Green Bay. I would rather watch that, because if I'm having to sit and watch the Browns and the Bengals and hoping my tight end gets a catch, I'm going to get pissed off most likely. If I'm watching Green Bay, at least it'll be a decent game. So that's how I look at it. And I think, your way of looking at it makes more sense. Look, you don't really know ever with tight ends once you get past the top couple. So pick the team that you think is going to throw the ball the most. The scoring is going to be the highest. And that makes sense to go Tucker Kraft.
All right. Yeah. So lean Tucker Kraft in that spot. He's just been, getting a lot of targets and making a lot with the Packers. So last but not least, Devontae Smith or T. Higgins. And this is cool. I'm really happy that this guy has both of these guys on his team, because when A.J. Brown's out, Devontae Smith is the top 10 wide out. And when Jamar Chase is out, T. Higgins, same thing. He's a top 10 wide out. This week, both of those guys are back, A.J. Brown and obviously Jamar Chase. And this is tough. I think here, let's look. So Cincinnati at the Browns. The Browns I think they kind of suck overall. Yeah. And then you got the Giants against the Eagles. The Giants have kind of crap. Both of these teams, both the defenses aren't very good. Boy, this is a very tough decision, because, the thing with this decision, and if you got both of these guys, you're going to be looking at this every week. You really don't know the week that A.J. Brown is going to have all the action and Devontae's not going to get any. And same thing with Chase and Higgins. It could be a week where just Higgins gets all the action because they double, triple team Chase. So you just don't know on a week-to-week basis. So I'm going to chicken out. I'll have to think. I'll pass it to Aaron. I'll think more about it.
Well, it feels a lot like, maybe not talent level wise, but a lot like the Daniels Allen argument, where it's like, boy, there really isn't a wrong answer. You laid it out. I mean, they're the same guy. I think Devontae Smith is where I would lean. And these are the decisions I always seem to get wrong. So you might want to play T. Higgins, but I think Devontae Smith is where I would lean in this spot. Just because I think you can trust that offense just a little bit more than the Bengals right now.
Oh boy, yeah, it's rough. I mean, I'm looking at some of the rankings, and like both of these last two questions, like I think Tucker Kraft was ranked 7th, and what was the other guy? Njoku was like ranked 9th, and in this Higgins was ranked like 15th, and Devontae Smith is ranked like 18th. So it's like when it comes to those rankings, they're so close to each other, and it's difficult from a week-to-week perspective just to know. It's not that clear cut, but in this case, I'm going to go with T. Higgins. I just think he's been really in the mix a lot. And as you said, the Eagles, they've had some issues. We'll see if they bring him back together. at the New York Giants, talking about the Giants, talking about the Jets. Shoddy gets at us. Aaron Rodgers is getting the Green Bay gang back together. Sorry, Raiders fans. I don't know how many Raiders fans are on tonight, but we did not talk about the big trade of the week. Davante Adams going to the New York Jets. My New York Jets. The Yankees, oh my God, they're still up 6-5.
Yep. They
I'm sorry if
survived.
I'm ruining anybody that's seen this on time delay, but Stanton is up. He has a 3-run homer tonight and 2 outs. So I'm messing with everyone's head here, and we're in the top of the 8th, right?
Yep.
So oof,
Yep.
rough game here. I got to get to this game, so we're gonna wrap up for the Friday night freak out. Thank you everybody for joining. We've had a really nice time.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, what you got to say to all the Race Induced fans out there and all the things you guys got going on, getting ready for the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always fun. I haven't been on as much as I wanted to. I've been busy, it seems like, on Friday nights, which is so not me, to be honest. So you may see me more. But anyway, thanks for having me on. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. This is a fun show. You know, I like the show with my dad and the show with Slim because I kind of get to do a different thing for an hour or so that I don't usually get to do talking about sports. But you want to talk horses for a minute? We do have a lot going on this weekend. You've got Locked coming back this weekend at Belmont at the Big A. You got Knightsbridge coming back as well. So there's a lot of fun going on. But of course, Breeders' Cup coming up, big time coverage of the Breeders' Cup already on the site and going on for the next couple of weeks. So that's the big event that we're waiting on now.
And shout out to Ryan Stillman. You're going to be out there in San Diego with Stillman, huh?
No, I'm actually not going. We're staying home. Stillman is going to be there, so he'll be there having fun. We're staying home, and the big reason we're doing it, we're going to be live a lot during that week, whether it be podcasts leading up to it, live shows during the Breeders' Cup as well. So we're going to be all over the YouTube, and that's the main reason for staying, to give you guys a lot more coverage of the Breeders' Cup. And of course, you know, all the products and stuff that we have to put out as well. It's a lot easier to do that when you're at home. So we'll be at home, but Stillman will be out at Del Mar if you want to say hi to him.
Oh, wow. So I'm not that upset. I thought you guys are going to be out there. I was going to miss out. Now
Nope.
I don't feel freaking out about it, but I do have to get in touch with Stillman. So if you're out there listening, yo, I'm going to get you Stillman, and what I'm going to get out all you guys with. So thank you everyone for joining in. And I want to thank this community. I'm going to get all sentimental and stuff, but you know, I kind of came back because I missed everybody, and just we kind of started this YouTube thing. Did this vlog, and you know, we were starting to get people, and I can't believe how much the Racing Dudes have built this up. And you know, getting back with a lot of people here, it's been great with Shoddy, meeting Curtis, meeting some of the people on here that I've known before and know now. It's great, but you know what I've done lately, I've been so focused on my rapping, okay? And this has always been my dream. And my big announcement is this: I am going to publish my first song, and Dad Rap is coming to streaming November 15th. I'm dropping a single, an A side and a B side, like they used to do back in the day. And the A side single is called The Car Aisle. It's now available on my SoundCloud. So get at me.
Nice.
On Instagram at Dad Rap Music. I'm on YouTube. This video here that I'm about to show you is the B side. I played this music video a few weeks ago, but now I got lyrics in the video so you can understand what I'm talking about. And this song I'm going to put on YouTube right after this. So it's debuting here, and it's going to go on my Dad Rap YouTube. So hit me up. And the best thing you can do, the best thing you can do to help me out is just share. If you like what I'm doing, if you like my raps, just tell a person and say, oh my God, I know this guy. He raps about being a dad. It's funny. You got to see this video. Just share it, send it to somebody. I just want to make people laugh. I just want to entertain. That's why I'm doing this show. I love it because I could just entertain, get Aaron to laugh. I see people writing things. They seem to be having a good time out there. So that is all it's about. Dad Rap's all about having fun. And for Dad Rap, for Saratoga Slim, for Barack Capper, for Spec, for all my alter egos throughout the years, I'm out. And for Aaron, what you got to say all about all that craziness?
I'm excited. I'm really excited for you, man. You know, we've talked about it. I'm all for it. I'm super pumped to see it. You're gonna play it right now, right? I'm ready for it.
This is the video for That Dad Life. So this is a full music video. So I'm about to drop it right now. I'll see you guys next week on the Friday Fantasy Football Freakout. Peace. I'm out.
Just living that dad life. Trying to. Yo, this goes out to all the dads out there. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now. Ride with me now. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now. Ride with me now. Just living that dad life. If you're a dad, yeah. Just living that dad life. Strap the kids in a car seat, hop in the front and let's go. Ride with me in your family sedans, your SUVs or your minivans. Third row seat, at least taking a beating. Crumbs all over from food your kids eating. Got Aaron's silly putty stuck on your interior. You ask your kids a question, but they ain't hearing ya. That's a dad's life, not trying to have a mad wife. Tell my kids to ass nice, trying to get my act right. Hold it down like gravity, all about my family. Trying to live amicably, don't know how to handle me. I know they gotta live with me, bout my positivity. And yo, I wanna say thanks for what you're giving me. I'm breaking my back, making this cash, inflation and tax. But now I'm just taking out the trash, making the beds, making the bread. But my wife and kids still looking at me, shaking their heads. That dad life, yeah, yeah, sing along. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now, ride with me now. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now, ride with me now. Just living that dad life. Trying to get my act right. A dad gotta do what a dad gotta do. My kids want food, I take them to drive-thru. They want Mickey D's, I want my kids mellow. And yo, the Happy Meals come with Squishmallows. That's just one thing that you do as a dad. Now you're rolling up to Target with reusable bags. Get them at the car seats. My kids really are sweet. My boy wants a car, my girl wants a Barbie. And they're both behaving, the dad is quick to cave in. I gave in, this dad ain't toy depraving. I bought those toys willingly, now it's off the Billy Bees. I want my kids to chill with me, that's what's fulfilling me. I'm building for my children until I get a billion. But now they sick at home, give them amoxicillin. Cause you're a super dad with an S on your chest, right behind your Patagonia vest. That dad life, yeah, yeah, sing along. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now, ride with me now. Just living that dad life. Ride with me now, ride with me now. Just living that dad life. Trying to get my act right. Yo, to all the dads out there, just getting by. Hold your head up high. I'm out.